I spent 3 months recruiting soldiers in rural Alabama communities for the Army, while my girlfriend's ex-boyfriend used his police badge and department resources to steal my woman. Detective Ray Morrison thought a police uniform meant he could stalk an Army recruiter and no one would investigate. He was wrong. Let me explain what happened. I'm Staff Sergeant Kenneth Davis, and for 2 years I've been running recruitment drives at high schools across 3 states. Lisa Martinez worked as a counselor at Jefferson High, helped coordinate my events. We'd been together 2 years, solid relationship, or so I thought. Every recruitment assignment meant 2 to 3 months away, setting up operations in underserved communities. Standard rotation. Morrison started showing up at Lisa's place the day after I left for assignments. Told her he was providing security while I was deployed. Except he wasn't deployed security. He was her ex from 5 years back, and he wanted her back. While I was sleeping in base quarters 3 states away, he was sleeping in my bed. The breakthrough came during an unexpected recruitment review. My numbers looked off. Command wanted answers. I drove back to Jefferson 2 weeks early, no heads up to anyone. Found Morrison's patrol car in my driveway during his shift hours. Not visiting, living there. That's when my military investigative training kicked in. I didn't lose control. I felt that cold assessment focus from advanced individual training. Looked at the situation tactically and thought, you want to abuse police resources to stalk military personnel? Let's see how internal affairs handles misconduct and stalking charges. I started documenting everything. Patrol logs, GPS records from his squad car, text messages Lisa kept. Morrison had been using department databases to track my assignment schedules, coordinate his visits around my deployments. Complete abuse of law enforcement authority. So when I gathered enough evidence, I made my decision. Time to expose a dirty cop. 3 months before I caught them, I was preparing for a major recruitment drive across rural Tennessee communities. Lisa sat at her kitchen table, grading papers, while I reviewed assignment orders from my recruiting station commander. Standard deployment: establish recruitment presence in 5 underserved counties, coordinate with local high schools, set up temporary operations bases in community centers. Another long assignment? Lisa asked, marking student essays with her red pen. 8 weeks minimum, maybe 12 if the community response requires extended operations. I folded the orders and slipped them into my cargo pocket. Rural recruitment takes time. These communities haven't seen active military presence in years. Lisa nodded. She understood the job requirements. 2 years together, she'd watched me deploy to recruitment zones across 3 states. Always came back with solid numbers, new recruits signing contracts, communities building relationships with military programs. That's when Detective Morrison appeared at the school district meeting 2 days later. Lisa mentioned it casually over dinner. Ray Morrison stopped by the counseling office today. He's working some community policing initiative. I knew Morrison from Lisa's past. They dated 5 years back, before she moved to Jefferson, and before I got assigned to the recruitment station here. Local detective seemed professional enough the few times we'd crossed paths at community events. What kind of initiative? I asked. Security consultation for schools hosting federal programs. He heard about your upcoming recruitment drive through district communications. Lisa pushed rice around her plate. Offered to coordinate safety protocols while you're establishing those rural programs. Morrison in his detective uniform, badge displayed, official business. I could picture it. Police departments coordinated with military recruitment all the time. Security assessments, background checks, community safety during federal programs. Makes sense, I said. Rural recruitment sites need security oversight. The next morning, Morrison called my recruiting station directly. Professional tone, law enforcement credentials, established immediately with the staff duty NCO. Staff Sergeant Davis, Detective Morrison, Jefferson PD. Lisa Martinez mentioned you're deploying for extended recruitment operations. I coordinate security assessments for federal programs in our district. I took the call in my small office, surrounded by recruitment posters and boxes of military promotional materials. What kind of assessment, Detective? Standard protocol, travel schedules, site locations, duration of federal presence in remote communities. We maintain awareness of military operations in our jurisdiction for coordination purposes. Legitimate police business. Military recruitment qualified as federal operations requiring local law enforcement awareness. Morrison had access to travel databases, security protocols, legitimate reasons to request operational schedules. My orders take me through 5 Tennessee counties, I explained. 2 to 3 months establishing recruitment presence, depending on community response. Perfect. Send me your travel schedule and site locations. We'll coordinate with county sheriffs in those areas, ensure your recruitment operations have appropriate security support. I forwarded my assignment details that afternoon. Departure date, estimated duration, county locations, planned high school visits. Standard information sharing between federal military operations and local law enforcement. Morrison followed up within hours. Received your schedule, Staff Sergeant. Looks comprehensive. I'll maintain coordination with Lisa for any security updates while you're deployed. Keep her informed of any timeline changes. Professional, thorough. Exactly what experienced detectives handled during federal program coordination. I thought Morrison providing security consultation made tactical sense. Lisa worked alone at the high school, handled recruitment coordination duties while I was away. Having police awareness of my deployment timeline meant backup support if issues arose. What I didn't realize was Morrison's access extended beyond legitimate police business. Detective databases included travel monitoring systems, vehicle tracking, communication logs. Morrison could pull my military travel records, monitor my recruiting station's operational schedules, track my official movements through law enforcement networks. He knew my exact departure date before Lisa did, knew when I'd established temporary operations in Tennessee counties, when I'd return for mid-deployment briefings. When my assignment might extend based on recruitment metrics, Morrison used police resources to build a complete operational picture of my deployment timeline. Not for security coordination, for personal exploitation. While I coordinated with rural high schools, Morrison coordinated his schedule around mine. His patrol shifts matched my absence. His off-duty time aligned with my extended operations. His security consultation visits to Lisa began the day after I departed for Tennessee. I trusted police cooperation with military recruitment operations, standard procedure, professional coordination, legitimate law enforcement involvement in federal programs. Morrison trusted that a detective badge meant nobody questioned his access to military schedules. 3 months later, sitting in his patrol car in my driveway, he discovered military investigators question everything. By the time I started documenting his misconduct, Morrison had created months of evidence. Patrol car GPS logs showing repeated visits to my address during shift hours. Database queries, pulling my recruitment schedules through police systems. Communication records coordinating his activities around my deployment timeline. Professional security consultation had become personal schedule exploitation. Detective Morrison thought law enforcement access meant unlimited surveillance authority. He was wrong. My military training taught me that authority without accountability creates corruption. Morrison's badge gave him access to information, not permission to abuse it. When I returned early from that recruitment review, finding his patrol car in my driveway wasn't just personal betrayal. It was evidence of systematic police misconduct, misuse of law enforcement resources, and abuse of authority for personal gain. Morrison had turned police databases into stalking tools, official duties into surveillance operations, professional coordination into personal manipulation. Time to coordinate with internal affairs. Lisa and I met during a career fair at Jefferson High School 2 years ago. I was running a recruitment booth. She was the guidance counselor, coordinating college and career presentations for seniors. Simple introduction, professional interaction that turned into something more. Staff Sergeant Davis, I'm Lisa Martinez, student counselor. Your presentation on military career paths was impressive. Half these students never considered Army opportunities. I was organizing recruitment materials, packing up brochures and enlistment information packets. Your students asked good questions, smart kids. They just need someone to explain military options clearly. Would you be interested in partnering with our school for ongoing recruitment support, monthly presentations, maybe individual counseling sessions for students considering military service? That partnership became the foundation of our relationship. Lisa coordinated recruitment events, scheduled student meetings, helped families understand military benefits. She attended promotion ceremonies, military family events, understood deployment schedules and operational requirements. I love working with a recruiter who actually cares about these kids' futures, she told me after watching me counsel a potential soldier through enlistment options. You don't just push quotas, you match students with opportunities that fit their goals. Lisa supported my recruiting career completely. She helped navigate community relationships, coordinated with school administrators, managed logistics for recruitment presentations. When assignment orders came through for extended operations, she handled local coordination while I established recruitment presence in distant communities. Our success metrics proved the partnership worked. Recruitment numbers consistently exceeded targets. Student satisfaction surveys rated our programs highly. Command recognized our community outreach efforts with commendation awards. Lisa and I built something successful together. That's what made Morrison's manipulation so calculated. Ray Morrison became a police detective specifically to stay in Jefferson after college. He and Lisa dated their senior year at State University, serious relationship that ended when Lisa took a teaching position here and Morrison chose Law Enforcement Academy training. Morrison graduated Police Academy, earned detective status, built his career around staying in Lisa's hometown. He knew her work schedule from their dating history, her commitment to student safety, her respect for authority figures in uniform. When Morrison heard about my extended recruitment assignments through school district communications, he saw opportunity. Detective authority impressed administrators, police credentials provided legitimate access to federal program information. Law enforcement databases contained military travel records. Morrison understood Lisa's professional priorities. She coordinated with police officers regularly for school safety issues. Detective consultation on federal programs seemed appropriate, necessary even. Ray offered security assessment services for your recruitment events, Lisa explained over dinner one evening. He knows I coordinate military programs now, wants to ensure proper safety protocols. Morrison had legitimate reasons to contact school districts about military recruitment security. Police departments maintained awareness of federal operations in their jurisdiction. Detective access to travel databases was standard procedure for law enforcement coordination. What wasn't standard was Morrison using police resources to monitor my personal schedule, coordinate his activities around my deployments, position himself as Lisa's primary support during my extended absences. Morrison knew Lisa's history with military families. She'd grown up in a Navy household, understood deployment cycles, supported military spouses through separation challenges. He exploited that understanding, presenting himself as appropriate support, while I established recruitment operations in remote communities. Detective Morrison checks in regularly while you're deployed, Lisa mentioned during phone calls from Tennessee. Make sure everything's secure here, coordinates with school administration about military program updates, professional consultation, police support for federal programs, legitimate law enforcement involvement in community safety. Except Morrison's consultation wasn't about security protocols. His coordination wasn't about program safety. His check-ins weren't about official business. Morrison used detective authority to access my military travel records, monitor my recruitment schedules, track my operational timeline through police databases. He knew when I departed for assignments, when I'd return for briefings, when operations might extend based on community response. While I counseled potential recruits in rural Tennessee, Morrison counseled Lisa about deployment difficulties. While I coordinated with community leaders, he coordinated his patrol schedule around my absence. While I built recruitment relationships in distant counties, he rebuilt personal relationships in my hometown. Morrison exploited his police background systematically. Detective training taught surveillance techniques, Law enforcement authority provided access to restricted information, professional credentials, created trust with school administrators. He positioned himself as appropriate support during military deployments. Knowledgeable about security issues, available for emergency coordination, experienced with federal program requirements. Lisa trusted police consultation because military recruitment required community law enforcement cooperation. Morrison counted on that trust. He built his approach around legitimate police involvement, professional coordination, official consultation services. Detective Morrison providing security assessment for military recruitment programs wasn't suspicious. It was standard procedure until it wasn't procedure anymore, until security consultation became personal manipulation, until professional coordination became relationship exploitation. Morrison transformed police authority into stalking tools, official duties into surveillance operations, detective credentials into access weapons. He used law enforcement resources to monitor military personnel, exploit federal program information, manipulate deployment schedules for personal gain. 2 years of building recruitment success with Lisa. Community partnerships, student success stories, military family support networks. Professional collaboration that became personal relationship, shared commitment to helping students find appropriate military opportunities. Morrison saw our partnership and decided to destroy it. Use detective authority to access our operational schedules, police resources to monitor our activities, law enforcement credentials to position himself as replacement. He thought a detective badge meant unlimited access to military information. He thought police authority meant permission to exploit federal program coordination. He thought law enforcement credentials meant nobody would investigate his conduct. Morrison was wrong about military investigators. We don't trust authority without accountability. We document misconduct systematically. We report abuse of resources through appropriate channels. When I discovered Morrison's patrol car in my driveway during his shift hours, I wasn't just dealing with relationship betrayal. I was documenting systematic police misconduct, misuse of law enforcement authority, abuse of official resources for personal exploitation. Morrison built months of evidence against himself. Time to present it to internal affairs. The Tennessee recruitment drive required complete community immersion. 5 counties, 12 high schools, dozens of community meetings. I spent 3 months establishing military presence in areas that hadn't seen active recruitment in years. Rural communities where military service meant leaving everything behind. Where families questioned Army opportunities because they didn't understand modern military careers. My temporary base was a converted classroom in Hartwell Community Center, 40 miles from the nearest recruiting station. Folding tables, recruitment materials, a secure phone line for coordinating with command. I slept in base quarters at Fort Campbell when possible, budget motels when distance required overnight stays. The work demanded everything: morning meetings with school principals, afternoon presentations to senior classes, evening sessions with parents who had questions about military benefits. Building trust took time. These communities remembered recruiters who made promises and disappeared. I had to prove Army commitment was genuine. Staff Sergeant Davis understands our students. Hartwell High's principal told parents during a recruitment information meeting. He's not pushing quick enlistments. He's explaining realistic military career paths. Rural recruitment meant addressing skepticism directly. Parents worried about deployment safety. Students questioned military job training. Community leaders doubted federal program benefits. Every conversation required patience, detailed explanations, honest assessments of military life. Lisa's support made the difference. She coordinated school visits from Jefferson, managed paperwork for interested students, handled family communications when I was establishing operations in distant counties. Her guidance counselor experience helped parents understand military education benefits, veteran support programs, career transition opportunities. Our phone calls kept me connected during long weeks away from home. "How's the Hartwell response?" Lisa asked during our 3rd-week conversation. "Promising. 6 students scheduled for individual counseling sessions. 3 families requesting detailed information about military occupational specialties. The community center director wants ongoing recruitment presence. That's excellent. Your numbers are going to be strong this cycle. Lisa understood recruitment metrics, operational timelines, community relationship requirements. She knew extended assignments meant building lasting partnerships, not quick results. Ray Morrison stopped by the school again, she mentioned toward the end of our call. He's coordinating security protocols for the military recruitment events we're planning for next month. Detective consultation. I'd authorized Morrison's security involvement before deploying to Tennessee. Police coordination with federal programs was standard procedure, especially for events involving military recruiters and high school students. Good. Security assessment helps with parent concerns about military presentations. He says police support really helps with community trust. Parents appreciate law enforcement oversight of federal programs. Professional partnership. Morrison providing security consultation while I established recruitment operations in distant communities. Police authority supporting military programs through official coordination. Each week brought similar updates. Morrison coordinating security protocols, providing consultation services, ensuring appropriate police presence during military recruitment events. Lisa seemed grateful for professional law enforcement support. Ray's been great about security for the school events, she'd mentioned casually during our 4th-week call. He reviews all the military recruitment materials, coordinates with school administration about safety protocols. Morrison was thorough. Detective consultation extended to program content review, administrative coordination, comprehensive security assessment. His police credentials provided credibility with school officials, reassurance for parents concerned about military recruiters. He takes federal program security seriously, Lisa continued. Always asks about your travel schedule. Make sure someone's monitoring recruit safety during these extended operations. Officer safety protocols. Morrison monitoring my deployment for appropriate security coordination. Police departments tracked military operations in their jurisdiction for emergency response purposes. Detective oversight of recruitment activities showed professional law enforcement involvement. By the 6th week, Lisa's calls grew shorter, more focused on operational updates, less personal conversation. The Tennessee operations are extending another month, I told her during a brief evening call from my motel room in Monroe County. Ray mentioned deployment extensions were likely. He said rural recruitment always takes longer than initial projections. Morrison understood military operations from his detective training, knowledge of federal program timelines, experience coordinating with various agencies. His predictions about assignment duration showed professional awareness of recruitment requirements. How does he know about assignment extensions? Police coordination with federal programs includes operational timeline awareness. He monitors military activities for security planning purposes. Legitimate police business. Morrison accessing deployment schedules through official law enforcement channels, maintaining awareness of military operations for appropriate security coordination. What I didn't realize was Morrison's monitoring exceeded official police business. Detective access to law enforcement databases included travel records, communication logs, operational schedules. Morrison could track my military travel through police systems, monitor my recruitment station communications, access my assignment timelines through federal coordination networks. While I visited rural high schools in Tennessee, Morrison visited Lisa's house in Jefferson. While I counseled potential recruits about military careers, he counseled Lisa about deployment difficulties. While I built community relationships in distant counties, he rebuilt personal relationships with my girlfriend. Morrison used police resources systematically. Detective authority provided access to my travel patterns. Law enforcement databases contained my operational schedules. Official police business justified monitoring military recruitment activities. Kenneth's safety is important during these rural assignments. He'd tell Lisa during security briefings at her house. I need to monitor his travel for officer safety protocols. Security consultations became personal visits. Official police business became relationship opportunities. Professional coordination became manipulation strategy. Morrison knew my exact location from law enforcement tracking systems. knew when I'd established operations in specific counties, when I'd return for mid-deployment briefings, when assignment extensions might occur based on recruitment metrics. His detective credentials provided complete operational awareness of my military activities. By the 8th week, our conversations focused entirely on business. Recruitment numbers are strong, I reported during a Thursday evening call. Command's pleased with community response. Assignment might extend another month based on current metrics. Ray predicted extended operations. He says rural recruitment success always requires additional time investment. Morrison's predictions proved accurate because he accessed my official reports through police databases. Detective authority included monitoring federal programs, tracking military operations, reviewing operational assessments for security purposes. His security consultation gave him complete awareness of my recruitment timeline, while providing perfect cover for personal manipulation. He's coordinating security for military families while you're deployed, Lisa mentioned. Make sure dependents have appropriate police supports during extended operations. Dependent support services. Morrison providing security for military spouses during deployment cycles. Professional law enforcement assistance for federal program families. Official police business justifying regular contact with Lisa. Morrison positioned himself as essential support during my extended absence. Knowledgeable about military operations, available for emergency coordination, experienced with federal program security requirements. Lisa trusted police assistance because military recruitment required community law enforcement cooperation. Morrison exploited that trust completely. Used detective training to conduct surveillance operations. Police authority to access restricted military information. Law enforcement credentials to justify stalking behavior. Every security briefing was calculated positioning. Every police visit was relationship rebuilding. Every consultation was manipulation disguised as official duty. Morrison transformed legitimate law enforcement coordination into systematic stalking operation. By the 10th week, Lisa's responses became minimal. Assignments concluding ahead of schedule, I told her during our final Tennessee call. Command wants early return for operational review. I'll be home tomorrow afternoon. Okay, Ray mentioned early return possibilities. He said recruitment metrics sometimes trigger schedule changes. Morrison knew my return timeline before Lisa did. Detective access to military communications meant complete awareness of operational modifications, assignment conclusions, schedule adjustments. His police monitoring covered every aspect of my deployment activities. See you tomorrow, Lisa said. Brief, professional. Different from our earlier conversations during deployment, Morrison had spent 10 weeks using police resources to monitor my activities, exploit my absence, manipulate Lisa through official law enforcement authority. Detective credentials provided perfect cover for systematic relationship interference. While I proved military value to Tennessee communities, Morrison proved police authority could replace military partnership. While I built recruitment success in distant counties, he built personal success in my hometown. Morrison counted on distance, deployment isolation, professional police credibility. He thought detective authority meant unlimited access to military information, legitimate reasons to monitor federal personnel, official justification for stalking behavior. The drive home from Tennessee took 6 hours. I spent those hours thinking about recruitment success, community partnerships, strong operational metrics that would impress command during the upcoming review. I didn't know Morrison had spent 10 weeks documenting his own police misconduct, creating evidence of systematic resource abuse, building a complete case file of law enforcement authority exploitation. When I found his patrol car in my driveway the next afternoon, Morrison discovered that early returns sometimes reveal ongoing crimes. Military investigators don't need advance notice to document police misconduct. We just need evidence, and Morrison had created months of it. The call came through on my secure line at Hartwell Community Center during my final week of Tennessee operations. Staff Sergeant Davis, this is Master Sergeant Rodriguez from Command. We need you back at the recruiting station immediately for operational review. I checked my calendar. Assignment wasn't scheduled to conclude for another 10 days. Is there an issue with the recruitment metrics, Master Sergeant? We've received reports from several Tennessee schools about scheduling inconsistencies, missed appointments, canceled visits that weren't on your official calendar. Command needs immediate clarification. Scheduling inconsistencies. I pulled my deployment files, reviewed every appointment record, checked confirmation emails from school administrators. My calendar showed complete coverage of assigned schools, documented visits to every planned location, confirmed meetings with community leaders. Master Sergeant, my records show full compliance with operational schedules. Every assigned school received planned recruitment visits. Pack your materials, Staff Sergeant. Report to the recruiting station tomorrow morning at 800 for comprehensive review. I spent that evening reviewing deployment documentation, official assignment orders, school visit confirmations, community meeting records, recruitment metrics from each county. Everything matched my operational timeline. No missed appointments, no scheduling conflicts, no canceled visits. The drive back to Jefferson took 6 hours. Interstate traffic, construction delays, rural highways leading back to familiar territory. I used driving time to prepare for the review meeting, organize documentation that would prove my professionalism. Command questioning recruitment operations meant serious concern about performance standards. Military recruiters maintained strict accountability for community relationships, school partnerships, operational scheduling. Any discrepancies required immediate investigation. I reached Jefferson at 2 p.m. Tuesday afternoon. Unexpected early return, no advance notice to Lisa. I'd planned to stop at the recruiting station first, review files before tomorrow's meeting, prepare comprehensive responses to Command's questions. Instead, I decided to go home. Clean uniform, fresh perspective, final preparation for operational review. Lisa would be surprised but pleased about early return from Tennessee deployment. I turned onto Maple Street, approaching our rental house 3 blocks from Jefferson High School. Quiet residential neighborhood, tree-lined streets, familiar surroundings after weeks in rural Tennessee communities. Morrison's patrol car was parked in Lisa's driveway. Marked police unit, official Jefferson PD designation, patrol number clearly visible. Tuesday afternoon, 3 p.m., according to my dashboard clock. Middle of Morrison's shift according to duty roster information posted publicly on the police department website. I parked across the street, engine running, studying the scene. Morrison's patrol car positioned like he lived there. Not a brief official visit, not emergency response, not security consultation. Residential parking during official duty hours. I pulled out my phone, photographed the patrol unit with timestamp, documented the residential address outside Morrison's assigned patrol zone, recorded the time of day during his official shift hours. Military training taught systematic evidence collection. This was evidence. Movement in the living room window caught my attention. Morrison in uniform, Lisa in casual clothes, standing close together near the couch. Not a professional consultation. Personal interaction, intimate positioning, a comfortable behavior that suggested regular presence. I watched Morrison remove his duty belt, place his service weapon on Lisa's coffee table, settle into the couch beside her. Off-duty behavior during on-duty hours, using patrol time for personal activities, transforming official police business into relationship rebuilding. Lisa moved closer to Morrison on the couch. Physical contact, personal conversation, relationship interaction completely unrelated to security consultation or federal program coordination. "We need to keep Kenneth away longer," Morrison said, voice carrying through the window I'd left open that morning. "His assignment should extend another month if recruitment numbers stay questionable." Morrison knew about assignment extensions before I did. Police coordination with military operations didn't include predicting deployment timeline modifications. Detective authority didn't extend to influencing federal program scheduling. Unless Morrison was manipulating recruitment reports, creating scheduling discrepancies, interfering with military operations for personal gain. The missed appointment reports suddenly made sense. Schools reporting canceled visits that weren't on my official calendar meant someone was scheduling appointments I never authorized, creating conflicts with my actual operational timeline, generating confusion about my recruitment activities. Morrison had access to school district communications through police coordination, authority to contact administrators about security protocols, legitimate reasons to discuss military recruitment scheduling. He could schedule fake appointments, generate scheduling conflicts, create reports about inconsistent recruiter presence. While I established legitimate recruitment relationships in Tennessee communities, Morrison was sabotaging those relationships through false scheduling, creating evidence of unprofessional behavior, manipulating my recruitment metrics to trigger early review. The performance questions should bring him back tomorrow, Lisa said, settling against Morrison's shoulder. Then you'll have evidence of poor recruitment performance to share with his command. Evidence Morrison was creating: false reports about missed appointments, scheduling conflicts he generated, recruitment metrics he manipulated through systematic interference with my official duties. I photographed them through the window. Morrison in uniform during duty hours, Lisa in personal interaction, both discussing sabotage of military recruitment operations. Not a surveillance photo. Evidence documentation. Morrison's police misconduct extended beyond using department resources to monitor my schedule. He was actively interfering with federal military operations, creating false reports about recruitment activities, manipulating performance metrics to damage my career. This wasn't just relationship betrayal. This was systematic sabotage of military operations by law enforcement personnel, abuse of police authority to interfere with federal programs, criminal misconduct by detective using official resources for personal gain. I continued photographing and recording. Morrison removing equipment from his patrol unit, bringing personal items into Lisa's house, settling in for extended off-duty activities during official patrol time. His commander thinks he's been missing scheduled school visits. Morrison continued, checking his police radio. Internal investigation should recommend transfer to different recruitment region. Military transfer orders based on false police reports. Morrison was using detective authority to manipulate my career, sabotage my operational success, force reassignment through fabricated evidence of poor performance, career sabotage through police misconduct, professional destruction through law enforcement resource abuse, systematic manipulation of military operations by corrupt detective pursuing personal objectives. My phone recorded everything. Morrison's patrol car during duty hours, personal activities during official time, discussion of military operation interference, admission of performance report manipulation, military investigators trained to recognize criminal behavior, police officers using official authority for personal gain qualified as criminal misconduct. Federal employees could not legally interfere with military operations for individual benefit. Morrison was committing multiple crimes simultaneously. Misuse of police resources, abuse of law enforcement authority, interference with federal programs, stalking military personnel, creating false official reports. I had documentation for every violation. Patrol car GPS logs showing inappropriate locations during duty hours. Database queries accessing military schedules for personal purposes. Communication records coordinating activities around deployment timeline. Visual evidence of off-duty behavior during official patrol time. Morrison thought detective authority meant protection from investigation. Police misconduct often went unreported because law enforcement investigated law enforcement. Internal affairs required compelling evidence to pursue charges against officers. Morrison had provided that evidence himself. Months of systematic resource abuse, documented through official police systems, recorded in department databases, witnessed by civilian personnel. I stopped recording and drove to the recruiting station. Tomorrow's operational review would include more than recruitment metrics. Command would receive evidence of criminal interference with military operations by local law enforcement personnel. Morrison wanted to sabotage my career through false reports. Instead, he documented his own criminal misconduct through systematic abuse of police authority. Detective badges don't protect corrupt officers from military investigation. Federal law enforcement takes police misconduct seriously when it involves interference with military operations. Morrison was about to discover that early reviews sometimes reveal ongoing crimes by the people requesting those reviews. My recruitment numbers were solid. My operational performance was exemplary. My documentation of police misconduct was comprehensive. Tomorrow's meeting with command would address more than scheduling discrepancies. We'd be discussing criminal referrals to federal law enforcement agencies for investigation of police misconduct by Detective Ray Morrison. Military justice doesn't negotiate with corrupt cops. I spent that evening at the recruiting station documenting everything. Military investigators learned systematic evidence collection. Morrison's misconduct required comprehensive documentation, not emotional responses. First, I established timeline evidence. Morrison's patrol car at Lisa's house during official duty hours, photographed with timestamp. GPS coordinates showing residential location outside his assigned patrol zone. Duty roster information from the police department website proving he was scheduled for patrol during personal activities. The photographs showed clear misconduct. Marked patrol unit used for personal business, detective in uniform conducting off-duty activities during official time, police resources diverted from public safety to relationship manipulation. Next, I requested official records through Freedom of Information Act procedures, police patrol logs, vehicle GPS tracking data, communication records involving military recruitment coordination, public records that would reveal the scope of Morrison's resource abuse. Morrison had been sloppy. Corrupt cops often assume authority protects them from investigation. They document their own misconduct through official systems, create evidence trails in department databases, leave records of illegal activities in law enforcement files. The patrol logs revealed systematic abuse. Morrison's patrol unit showed repeated visits to Lisa's address during duty hours, extended stays outside assigned patrol zones, irregular patrol patterns focused on monitoring my neighborhood rather than covering assigned public safety areas. GPS tracking data from his police vehicle documented months of misconduct, locations matching Lisa's work schedule, times coordinating with my deployment timeline, patrol activities focused on personal surveillance rather than law enforcement duties. Communication records showed Morrison accessing school district information beyond legitimate security coordination. Database queries about military recruitment schedules. Requests for operational information exceeding police authority. Coordination meetings that were actually personal relationship building. I organized evidence systematically. Police misconduct, stalking behavior, misuse of taxpayer resources, abandoning official duties for personal activities. Each violation supported by documentation, timestamps, official records from police department systems. Morrison had used detective authority to access my military travel records through law enforcement databases. Federal law prohibited police officers from accessing military personnel information for personal purposes. Database logs showed repeated queries about my deployment schedule, travel patterns, operational assignments. Stalking through official channels. Morrison tracked my military activities using police resources, monitored my location through law enforcement systems, coordinated his personal schedule around my official duties. The school district communications revealed manipulation of recruitment operations. Morrison had contacted administrators about security protocols, scheduled meetings I never authorized, created appointment conflicts that generated reports of missed visits, false scheduling designed to damage my recruitment metrics. Morrison used police authority to interfere with military operations, sabotage federal programs, create evidence of poor performance through systematic manipulation. I documented Morrison's abuse of law enforcement authority for personal gain, using police resources to stalk military personnel, accessing restricted databases for relationship manipulation, interfering with federal recruitment operations, abandoning patrol duties for personal activities, federal crimes. Military personnel enjoyed protection from harassment by law enforcement officers. Police misconduct involving stalking behavior resource abuse, and interference with federal operations qualified for federal prosecution. The evidence file grew comprehensive. Photographs, GPS records, communication logs, database access histories, patrol activity reports. Morrison had created months of documentation proving his systematic misconduct. Military training emphasized proper reporting channels. Police misconduct required notification of multiple authorities: internal affairs, police supervisors, federal law enforcement agencies, military command structure. I started with internal affairs. Police departments maintained investigative units specifically for officer misconduct. Internal affairs investigators understood police procedures, recognized resource abuse, pursued criminal charges against corrupt officers. Internal Affairs Division, this is Sergeant Williams. Sergeant Williams, this is Staff Sergeant Kenneth Davis, Army recruiter assigned to Jefferson area. I need to report systematic police misconduct involving Detective Ray Morrison. What type of misconduct, Staff Sergeant? Stalking military personnel, using police resources, misuse of department vehicles for personal activities, abuse of law enforcement databases to access military information, interference with federal recruitment operations. That's serious. Can you provide documentation? Comprehensive evidence file, photographs, GPS records, communication logs, database access histories. Detective Morrison has been using police authority to stalk military personnel for personal relationship manipulation. Sergeant Williams scheduled an immediate meeting. Internal Affairs took police misconduct seriously, especially involving federal personnel. Stalking behavior by law enforcement officers required urgent investigation. The Internal Affairs interview lasted 3 hours. Sergeant Williams reviewed every piece of evidence, documented Morrison's systematic resource abuse, confirmed federal law violations through police database queries. Detective Morrison accessed military personnel records without authorization. Sergeant Williams concluded. Used patrol time for personal activities, abandoned assigned duties for relationship manipulation, interfered with federal operations through false reporting. This evidence supports criminal charges: multiple felonies, stalking, misuse of police resources, computer crimes through unauthorized database access, interference with federal programs. Morrison's badge doesn't protect him from federal prosecution. Internal Affairs launched immediate investigation. Morrison's police activities faced comprehensive review. Database access required forensic analysis. Patrol records demanded detailed examination. I contacted my commanding officer next. Military personnel faced harassment from civilian law enforcement, required command notification. Morrison's interference with recruitment operations affected military readiness, unit performance, federal program success. Master Sergeant Rodriguez, this is Staff Sergeant Davis. The recruitment scheduling issues we discussed yesterday involve criminal interference by local police detective. Explain that, Staff Sergeant. Detective Ray Morrison has been using police resources to sabotage my recruitment activities, create false reports about missed appointments, manipulate performance metrics through systematic interference with military operations. You have evidence? Comprehensive documentation. Morrison's been accessing my travel schedules through police databases, coordinating personal activities around my deployments, using detective authority to interfere with federal recruitment programs. Command took Morrison's interference seriously. Criminal misconduct affecting military recruitment required notification of federal law enforcement, coordination with internal affairs investigation, protective measures for military personnel. The FBI received referral for federal crimes investigation, police officers stalking military personnel, interfering with federal operations, misusing law enforcement resources for personal gain, qualified for federal prosecution under multiple statutes. FBI Special Agent Martinez contacted me within 48 hours. Staff Sergeant Davis, we're investigating Detective Morrison's alleged misconduct. Federal crimes involving law enforcement officers require comprehensive investigation. I have extensive documentation, Special Agent Martinez. We'll need everything. Police database abuse, stalking through official channels, interference with military operations. Morrison faces serious federal charges if evidence supports prosecution. The investigation expanded rapidly. Federal law enforcement took police misconduct seriously when it involved military personnel. Morrison's abuse of authority threatened federal program integrity, military recruitment success, public trust in law enforcement. Database forensics revealed Morrison's systematic abuse, unauthorized queries about military personnel, illegal access to deployment schedules, misuse of law enforcement systems for personal surveillance. Computer crimes carrying significant federal penalties. Patrol activity analysis showed abandonment of official duties. Morrison's GPS tracking revealed hours spent at Lisa's address during patrol time. Extended absences from assigned patrol zones. Systematic neglect of public safety responsibilities. Communication records documented interference with federal operations. Morrison's contacts with school administrators created false appointment schedules, generated reports of missed visits, manipulated recruitment metrics through systematic sabotage. Financial analysis revealed taxpayer resource abuse, patrol vehicle fuel costs for personal activities, overtime compensation for unofficial duties, equipment usage for relationship manipulation. Morrison had stolen thousands of dollars in public resources. Internal Affairs suspended Morrison pending investigation completion. Federal charges required administrative leave, badge and weapon surrender, termination of law enforcement authority during criminal proceedings. Detective Morrison's police powers are suspended immediately, Sergeant Williams informed me. No access to databases, no patrol activities, no official law enforcement functions during federal investigation. Morrison's authority ended. No more access to police resources, no database queries about military personnel, no official coordination with school districts. His ability to interfere with recruitment operations terminated. The investigation revealed Morrison's complete misconduct timeline. 3 months of systematic resource abuse, documented through official police systems, recorded in law enforcement databases. Federal prosecutors reviewed evidence for criminal charges. Computer crimes, stalking, conspiracy to interfere with federal programs, misuse of public resources. Morrison faced potential federal prison sentences. Lisa's school district launched their own investigation. Inappropriate relationship affecting work performance, coordination with police misconduct, participation in interference with federal programs. Educational professionals maintained ethical standards, especially regarding federal program coordination. Ms. Martinez's position is under review, the district superintendent informed me. Inappropriate personal relationships affecting professional duties, especially involving federal program interference, violate district policies. Morrison's misconduct destroyed multiple careers. Police detective facing federal prosecution, school counselor losing professional position, systematic abuse of authority affecting entire community. Military command commended my investigation. Systematic documentation of criminal misconduct, protection of federal recruitment operations, professional handling of law enforcement interference. Staff Sergeant Davis demonstrated exceptional investigative skills, Master Sergeant Rodriguez noted in my performance evaluation. His documentation of police misconduct protected military recruitment integrity and led to federal criminal prosecution. Morrison discovered that detective badges don't protect corrupt officers from military investigation. Federal law enforcement pursues police misconduct aggressively when it involves interference with military operations. Military personnel receive comprehensive protection from harassment by civilian law enforcement. Morrison's systematic abuse of police authority for personal gain guaranteed federal prosecution under multiple criminal statutes. The evidence file Morrison created through his own misconduct became the foundation for his federal prosecution. Months of systematic resource abuse, documented in official police systems, proved beyond reasonable doubt his criminal violations of law enforcement authority. Internal Affairs, federal law enforcement, and military command coordinated comprehensive investigation. Morrison's police career ended with federal criminal charges, professional disgrace, and complete loss of law enforcement authority. Military justice doesn't negotiate with corrupt cops who abuse police resources to stalk federal personnel. Morrison's internal affairs investigation was devastating. The evidence I provided created an airtight case of systematic police misconduct. Within 2 weeks, Morrison faced suspension without pay for misuse of police resources, criminal charges for stalking and harassment, and termination proceedings for conduct unbecoming an officer. Internal Affairs didn't mess around when federal agencies got involved. FBI computer crimes investigation revealed Morrison had accessed my military records 47 times over 3 months through police databases. Each unauthorized query was a federal felony. Database forensics showed he'd tracked my deployment schedule, monitored my travel patterns, and coordinated his personal activities around my official military duties. The patrol car GPS records proved systematic abandonment of duty. Morrison spent 73 hours at Lisa's address during official patrol time over 10 weeks. That's 73 hours of taxpayer-funded patrol time used for personal relationship building while his assigned patrol zones went uncovered. Financial crimes investigation revealed resource theft totaling $12,000, patrol vehicle fuel for personal activities, overtime compensation for unofficial duties, equipment usage for stalking operations. Morrison had systematically stolen public resources for private gain. Federal prosecutors filed charges under 5 different statutes: computer fraud, stalking, conspiracy to interfere with federal programs, misuse of government resources, violation of civil rights under color of authority. Morrison faced potential prison time ranging from 2 to 7 years per count. The police chief held a press conference announcing Morrison's termination. Detective Morrison's conduct represents serious violation of public trust. Law enforcement officers who abuse their authority for personal gain will face full prosecution under federal and state law. Morrison lost everything. Detective rank stripped, police pension forfeited, law enforcement certification revoked permanently. No police department would hire him after federal conviction for stalking and resource abuse. His career in law enforcement ended completely. The State Attorney General's office launched additional investigation into Morrison's previous cases. Corrupt cops who abuse databases for personal reasons often abuse authority in other ways. Every arrest, every investigation, every report Morrison had filed faced review for potential misconduct. Lisa's school district moved quickly once federal charges became public. Inappropriate relationship affecting professional duties, coordination with police misconduct, participation in interference with federal programs. Educational professionals maintain strict ethical standards, especially regarding federal program coordination. The district superintendent called a meeting with the school board. Ms. Martinez's position is terminated immediately, allowing personal relationships to interfere with federal recruitment programs, violates district policy and professional ethics standards. Lisa lost her guidance counselor license through state education board review. Professional misconduct involving federal programs, inappropriate relationship affecting student services, participation in criminal interference with military recruitment. Her career in education ended. Both Morrison and Lisa discovered that professional licenses don't protect you from consequences when you enable criminal misconduct affecting federal operations. My military command handled the situation professionally. The recruitment scheduling issues that triggered my early return were resolved immediately once Morrison's interference was documented. Command commended my investigative work and systematic evidence collection. Staff Sergeant Davis demonstrated exceptional professionalism under difficult circumstances. Master Sergeant Rodriguez wrote in my performance evaluation. His documentation of criminal misconduct protected military recruitment integrity and resulted in successful federal prosecution of law enforcement corruption. 3 months later, I received promotion to Sergeant First Class. With commendation for exposing police corruption, Command offered choice of recruitment regions for transfer. I selected the Denver area, prime recruitment territory with strong community support for military programs. The transfer came with increased responsibilities, senior recruiter position, supervisory duties over junior recruiting staff, coordination with multiple high schools across metropolitan area. Command trusted me with expanded recruitment operations based on my performance during the Morrison investigation. Federal prosecutors kept me informed about Morrison's case progress. He pled guilty to 3 felony counts to avoid trial on the additional charges: 2 years federal prison, 3 years supervised probation, permanent bar from law enforcement employment, complete forfeiture of police pension benefits. Lisa tried contacting me before Morrison's sentencing hearing. Phone calls I didn't answer, text messages I deleted, emails I reported to federal investigators as potential witness intimidation. Federal law protected prosecution witnesses from contact by co-conspirators. The Denver recruitment region provided fresh opportunities, strong military community support, excellent school district cooperation, professional relationships built on mutual respect rather than personal manipulation. No corrupt cops interfering with recruitment operations. 6 months into my Denver assignment, I met Staff Sergeant Maria Gonzalez at a joint recruitment training exercise. Fellow Army recruiter, 3 years experience, professional approach to community outreach programs. We started with recruitment coordination, developed into partnership, grew into relationship. Maria understood military recruitment requirements, deployment schedules, community relationship building, professional boundaries with civilian partners. She supported recruitment operations without enabling misconduct, maintained professional ethics during federal program coordination. Recruitment partnerships require trust, Maria told me during one of our coordination meetings. Professional trust, personal trust, mutual respect for military service and community responsibility. We got engaged 8 months later. Military ceremony, fellow recruiters as witnesses, command approval for marriage between recruiting personnel. Professional relationship that became personal partnership, built on military values and mutual respect. That's the thing about military justice. Corrupt cops think their badges give them authority over military personnel, but the system protects soldiers from law enforcement abuse. Federal law doesn't recognize local police authority over military operations. Criminal misconduct by law enforcement officers faces serious federal prosecution. Morrison thought detective credentials meant unlimited access to military information. He discovered that unauthorized access to federal databases carries federal prison sentences. Police badges don't protect corrupt officers from criminal prosecution. Military personnel receive comprehensive protection from harassment by civilian authorities. Morrison's systematic abuse of police resources for personal stalking guaranteed federal charges under multiple criminal statutes. Some battles you fight recruiting future soldiers for military service. Others, you fight against corrupt officials who abuse their authority to interfere with federal operations. Military honor always outranks civilian misconduct. Professional integrity defeats personal corruption. Federal justice protects military personnel from law enforcement abuse. Morrison learned that detective authority has limits. Military recruitment operations enjoy federal protection. Corrupt cops face federal prosecution when they abuse police resources to stalk military personnel. Justice served. Case closed. Career advanced. Life improved. Military training teaches systematic problem solving. Morrison's misconduct was a problem requiring systematic solution. Evidence collection, proper reporting, federal prosecution, professional consequences. Problem solved systematically. Military efficiency applied to civilian corruption. Federal law protecting military personnel from local authority abuse. Morrison's federal conviction stands as permanent reminder that police badges don't authorize criminal conduct against military personnel.